Hello everyone, this is Amisbro, and for this particular video we are going to be doing a game review. And the game up for review is Dead or Alive 5. Yes, I'm doing this game. Doing a game based in which is one of my favorite fighting franchises, if not my favorite fighting franchise of all time. This and Tekken for sure. Now, how are we going to review this game? See, most people focus on the online aspect of a game and whatnot. Because I don't do the online stuff, my review is going to be a little different. It's going to focus mainly on the gameplay and the story mode. Okay? Just thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention. First off, I will tell you right now, there are 3 hidden characters in this game. And all come from the Virtual Fighter realm. Akira, Sadabrant, Pai Chan. And they're all unlocked by fulfilling certain things as far as the number of titles, or you can unlock them by completing a certain level in the story mode. And trust me when I tell you, and at least in one case, you have to... Actually, no, I'm sorry. In 2 cases, you have to fight them. In 1 case, it's just unlocked. Okay? Now then, this story mode, I don't know how long the one for Mortal Kombat was, but I know that this one, I checked, is like 71 chapters, which is by far one of the longest story modes I've ever seen in a fighting game. But there's a reason for that. Outside of the first 2 missions, which are from the prologue, every other chapter has at least 3 fights for 1 character. Until you get to the end of the game, and then there's 5. And they're not all the same character, and they do switch up at some point. So, shall we discuss the story of the game? Alright, let's. The story goes like this. Elena Douglas, daughter of Fame Douglas, and yes, that was the dude's real name, Fame Douglas, has taken over DOA Tech. And she decided that she was going to destroy the lab so that no clones can be made of any fighters, Kazumi or otherwise. Well, somebody decided they were going to pull some bullshit. And the dude's name, if I remember correctly, is Dominic. Yeah. And he has 3 women who are under his employ. And you do meet them throughout the course of the game. Christy, Miko, and Lisa. Miko's not a fighter, just so you know. The other 2 are. Christy you see a couple times. And Lisa you do see a couple times towards the end. And there's also a time towards the end of the game, but I won't tell you what she does. And the story is done actually through very well voice acted cutscenes. And in this game, the cutscenes actually mean something. See, in previous Dead or Alive Gamestop wasn't like a cutscene after almost every fight, so you didn't really understand the story. Because none of the other fights meant anything until you got to certain fights against, say, Ain and Hayate for Kazumi, or, you know, say, Tina for base, or whoever. Pass. So you're going to go through and you're going to want to watch all the movies for a couple reasons. 1, to understand what the hell is going on. Otherwise, you're just fighting and you don't understand the purpose. The other reason is there's actually a trophy for the game. There's actually a trophy in the game if you watch every movie during the story mode, which is pretty awesome. Also, during the course of this game, the designers decide they're going to throw in some bonuses for you. They will give you a bonus mission to do during fights. And by the way, every fight is 1 round, so it's sudden death. You're either going to win and progress in the story, or you're going to lose and have to fight that person over again. The only good thing about that is it will help your usage count on your characters, so that when you go into the fight record, you'll be able to see how many times you've used the characters, so you'll know how close you are to one of their milestones. And that's honestly, it's like goes what, 1, 50, 100, then it goes like 1,000. Yeah, it gets ridiculous. Like I said, the voice acting is very well done. It does get a little dramatic towards parts of the story where, like, you'll hear like characters yelling at each other over something, or they have a disagreement, and then that turns into the fight and all kinds of good stuff. One of the interesting pairings is Tommy and Leif Bang, because they're observing somebody and you see them in like a safari getup and everything. Actually really neat. But a couple of other things that happen is you do see fights that take place at the at the quarterfinals for the Dead or Alive tournament, which ironically, even though a lot of people say that was the thing they wanted to do, they wanted to enter that tournament, that's actually, in the grand scheme of things, minuscule as opposed to the big picture. You know, trying to stop this evil jackass from ruling the world with clones of the world's greatest fighters. And Elena, yes, not Helena, it's Elena. They don't pronounce the H, believe it or not. Enlists the task of that to certain fighters. One starts out to be Kazumi, and eventually does go to other fighters also. There are 3 in particular, which kind of surprised me because, well, one really surprised me because if anybody knows the story between the 2 characters or the canon, it's almost like they ignored it for the purposes of this story. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's a part in the game, by the way, spoiler alert, there's a part in the game where during one of the scenes you have Hayate, Hayabusa, and Ayane. And they are summoned to Elena to get the skinny on what's going on with the DOA tech and what they planned on doing with, you know, the clones and whatnot. But I found it interesting that one of those people was Ayane for one reason. If anybody remembers the canon, that was the person who killed her mother. So, unless I missed something, but yeah, they completely threw that out apparently. I don't understand why, but they did. And I'm sitting here, and that's like one logic hole in like 70-some chapters. I can live with that. And let me tell you right now, the challenges and the levels may start off easy, from 1 to about, we'll say 30 or 40. Once you get towards that home stretch, the game is going to start handing you your ass. Because not only the challenge is going to be more difficult, but the fights get ramped up as far as the difficulty also. So you're going to have to be ready for that. And if somebody said to me, okay, rate this game. Now, what we're going to do something a little bit different with the game reviews from this point forward. Every time I rate one of these games, it's going to be one of two things. We're either keeping the game and it's going back on my shelf, or it's getting traded back into GameStop because it failed the inspection. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that this game actually passed with just about flying colors. Some of the fights do get kind of ridiculous, like towards the end when you're fighting the Kazumi clone. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, if I had to really break it down, I'd rather do that than face a dude who has psychic energy and can, like, hurl himself like a torpedo at you, or a dude that has, you know, weird, what the fuck is his name, Seth, where he's like liquid metal or whatever. You know, yeah, okay, there's that freaky Alpha, was it 152? But in the long scheme of things, I can overlook that because this game is badass. The only other thing I will say is, if you go to play online, what tends to happen is, see, I'm fairly much a noob when I go to play online, despite the fact that I pretty much practice on like the computer and beat it up, you know, on the easiest difficulty setting. But I always seem to have problems playing online or finding somebody with the same skill level, because I always seem to find somebody who wants to be the cheapest possible. So I've played online a little bit, but I don't usually play this online, which is why I'm not reviewing that for the most part. Although I will say it's kind of for me, but you may enjoy it. I can tell you this game at GameStop currently is $20. I got the collector's edition for like $70. Well, I had a bunch of traded stuff. Do yourself a favor, pick this game up, because as far as fighting games go in this generation, this is by far one of the best out there on the planet. And you would be doing yourself a serious disservice not to get it. So, on that note, I will let you all go. You all have a great day, and I shall see you on the next one. Later, gang.